Hello and welcome to this short box Q&A session. My name is Sophia Mondragon, and I'm here with Kirsten Senske, and we are the two members of the programming team at PHLAFF. We are here today to talk and to ask questions about the short blog States of Reverie, which explores themes regarding reality, the fantastical, and like the melding of reality and fantasy. I just wanted to like open up to the two filmmakers today to introduce themselves and their work.
Hi, I am Gabe Castro. So I'm the director and actor of Jelly Butcher, which is a silly take on YouTube vlogger culture as well as true crime addiction, and I am very excited to chat with you all.
And hi, I'm Sylvia Ray. I'm the director of the short film Preggers, and Preggers is about a woman who finds out she's pregnant and ends up running into a bruja, which gives her an ointment that ends up giving her boyfriend kind of like a nightmarish trip, kind of instigated by his lack of empathy and support.
Thank you guys for introducing yourselves. First question that I have is I'd love to know like really what inspired you to make your film.
All right, I'll go ahead. So Preggers was actually brought to me by the writer and the actor Marco Parra, and he asked me if I would be interested in directing because he saw my short film, A Period Piece, which is about a young woman who puts in a tampon for the first time. And there was a bit of kind of women empowerment and a bit of comedy, and he liked it. And he asked me if I'd be interested. And so I read it. And immediately when I saw the pregnant man sequence, and when I read that, my director brain started really flowing. I started getting visual ideas, and so I worked with him on the script to get it really tight and to focus on Isabella, the main character, and to just get it really in a good space for shooting. And so initially it was also something that I'm very passionate about, women's rights and the right to choose, and us being able to take control of our healthcare was really important to me. And I liked the way that the short was written and would be portrayed in a way that wasn't like, what is the phrase, like beating a dead horse type of thing. Like it was a bit nuanced. It had our sense of opinion, but without really saying it in the same way. And I liked the idea that Marco really wanted to put himself through the ringer and like have a powerful woman kind of play with him as an actor and as a man. So it was just really fun, and it was an exciting project that I wanted to be involved with from the start.
Nice. Yeah, mine is pretty different. So I wrote the piece. We have a show called The Ghouls Next Door, which is like a media literacy show that dives into the horror genre and then takes a step back and really analyzes like the themes and its impact on our culture and society. And so as heavy as that gets, we like to have some brief reprieves where we just have fun in the horror genre. So we have a few short horror films, and this was one that came from kind of a place of agitation, being a YouTube creator and getting just frustrated at seeing people like have millions of followers and likes and subscriptions for opening boxes. I was like, that's really unfair. All the work and script writing and research that I do in my show. So I was just like, oh, but I also wanted to have fun in the horror genre, just poking fun at like true crime and this kind of idolation that that community tends to have over these monsters, like real life monsters. So it's a bit of a play on that too. It's just like these two very absurd things that people are obsessed with, and making a parody of those and just having fun with it, getting to do that. And as much as it was written, it was actually mostly improvised because I got all the wrong props in my own film. But luckily was able to get things together, a very small team, and we were able to make it happen thanks to the local Philadelphia community access station, PhillyCam. So big shout out to them. But yeah, that was like this frustration, but also like I wanted to have fun with how fun genre work can be.
Well, thank you guys for that. We noticed that in each of your films, there's like, of course, like some kind of fantastical element in there, integrated into the film and the story itself. So, what made you decide that this was one of the more effective ways to tell the story in your film?
Well, for Preggers, the concept of having a dream sequence where a man gets pregnant and kind of goes through the trials and tribulations that a woman goes through, but more extreme, was just a way to kind of flip the message on its head and make men and the audience think about what would happen and what these people would do if the genders were swapped. So at the time, and it's kind of always relevant, but it's kind of sad that this just past couple weeks, it's been even more so. And the whole purpose of the film, our main intention was to have people have more empathy for women who have to make that choice. And so if that means we want you to put your feet in their shoes and see, what if this happened to you? Like that was the whole purpose behind having the dream sequence and having that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the entire piece is kind of fantastical in that like it's very unlikely that a serial killer could have their own YouTube channel. But it really was like this commentary on the place that we put both, YouTube content creators and these, like I said before, literal monsters. Like there's this pedestal and this kind of fanaticism that comes from that, that just felt like it really blended well with how to tell that story and to just show how ridiculous it is that we find those things entertaining or interesting. So I think that's like the reason why it was kind of taken a little seriously, in that like we did all of the YouTube tropes that we could think of, including, the subscriptions and the advertising, like fake advertising for promotions and stuff. So we wanted that to be kind of real, that if someone were to click on it, that maybe they'd be like, this is kind of strange. Is this a whole series of Jolly Butcher out there? But also because it is such an absurd piece, we wanted to make sure that it's not too serious. Because it's really not meant to be serious in that way. Yeah, I hope I answered that question. I feel like I went around in a circle.
Yeah, so these two films, Jolly Butcher and Preggers, but the block at large with Salvando a Salvador and Demi's Panic all have some elements of the fantastical and the real in them. So how do you two both see Jolly Butcher and Preggers in conversation with one another?
Well, they're wildly different. What's funny? I could actually imagine a killer or someone who has that mindset having a YouTube channel. I feel like they would. This probably happened. Really awful to say, but yeah, I feel like with Preggers, we really wanted to have the juxtaposition of reality to his dream sequence. just to kind of ground it in a way. During the script writing process, Marco and I really worked hard on grounding the comedy, especially in the real scenes, just so that we could kind of get in the mental state of Isabella and kind of see and connect with the couple. So that when we get into the dream sequence, it's just wild and zany and has some comedic elements, and almost to the point where I feel like can kind of break the tension between whoever is like having these arguments, so that was kind of a catalyst for that. I feel like, I don't know, we're storytellers, so it's nice to kind of break out of the box and get out of reality for a bit.
Yeah, I agree. And they are very different, but I think the through line is this blend of entertaining and also like having people think a little longer, right? Because it's not just like entertainment for entertainment's sake, which is totally fine and valid. But there's like this extra element that we're like asking people to maybe think critically about specific situations or what we're taking in, like even just media that we're taking in. And I think, with Preggers, I feel like it's so much more in line with like when we do our show and we're being like really critical and like analyzing media and be like, this is how you tell stories. It's like, that's a really great blend. Whereas like Jolly Butcher was our kind of stress relief. So it's a little less intense than our usual stuff. But I would say like similarly, when it came to like acting, it in each one of our films, we're generally like a small crew, and me and my co-hosts have acted in all of them because we're like rookie actors, but it's also like no one's hiring us, so we'll just hire ourselves kind of thing. And I think there's a comfort with that as well, like that we're able to kind of shape the story together, and being both invested in how it turns out and like feeling open and to be like, what about this, or like, can we try that, and kind of having that yes and community element, which I feel like came across with your partnership as well. So I think that's it's like there's a partnership within the film of like fantastical and realism, but there's also partnerships outside, just like in the creating of them, to ensure that the story is fully fleshed out and covering all aspects of what it can.
Yeah, I love that. That yes and, filmmaking is such a collaboration, and so to get different people's perspective is, I feel like, one of the fun parts of the job. And with Preggers, I feel like, with this particular topic, I was apprehensive at first to join, but after reading and after meeting Marco, and it was more of like, let's see how we could find a way to reach the audience we want to reach without taking, one wild side than the other, just like a nice balance. What I liked about your web series, or what your short, was that the notification bell and when you're doing all the tropes of a YouTube channel, like it's somehow comforting and somehow like we know this like template of YouTube channel making, and it does make you think. Like at the end, that's like one of the things that we want to do as filmmakers, is like, let's take a beat out of reality, and have you think a little bit about things. So it's really fun to watch. Yeah.
I guess I'm also curious, like, what was the most challenging part of your filmmaking process for you guys while shooting your films?
So I guess the most challenging for us was me getting all my props wrong, and being like, okay, let's make it up as we go. One of the biggest things is like we have like the special effects of it's actually my partner who plays this disembodied head in the corner, and that was like a big challenge just because I've never done anything like that extent of special effects. Usually it's like whatever we can do like in camera, like nothing in post. But I have this really great team. And so like my cinematographer and editor Roland was genius about it. But it was like, we really had to figure out like making sure we get a clean slate, making sure we get him. And he spent a lot of time just like trying to get that perfect like head. And I am so thankful that he got to keep in parts where my partner actually talked too. Like it's just so absurd. And I think it's like amazing that we have the ability to do something that ridiculous, especially like being so small. And like there's just 4 of us making this ridiculous film. So that was like a challenge, but I think having the space to do that and to try things was really beneficial, because that's why it came out the way that it did. And I think other challenges was actually for my co-host getting stressed enough, like because her character runs in and she's like panicked because she's like one of the victims. And that was really hard, because we like before that we were just like playing around, and because we're doing so many different roles on this team, like she had to go from like being like support to like hopping into camera, and like I think that kind of rattled her a little bit, but we got through it. We were able to like take the time we needed, and I was really happy with how it turned out, and so proud of her for persevering, because I know she was like, why do you make me do this? So yeah, I think those were our challenge, or like the more difficult pieces, but we benefited from trying them out anyway.
Yeah, I love the disembodied head. That's a through line too. We have a head replacement in ours, and yeah, actually, that I would say the trials and tribulations of making this film really boil down to normal everyday like filmmaking stuff, which is time and money. We crowdfunded prior and during shooting, which was interesting, and then we borrowed locations, and we just had to make sure everyone was happy, and just all of those the regular fires that come up that you need to put out is what we went through. One of the things that I thought would be a problem was that my youngest child, he's 6 years old. He actually plays the body of baby Carlos. And I thought he was the last thing that we were going to shoot, and we had to get out of the location early. And so I really was a little bit worried that he would not perform, because he's not an actor. Every time you put like an iPhone or a camera at him, he turns into like a marshmallow and like starts like making fart noises. So he came in, I paid him with donuts, and he knocked it out of the park. Yeah. So yeah, it was normal filmmaking stuff. It's hard, it's fun, and it's all worth it in the end. Yeah.
How do you hope and anticipate the audience will react to your film?
My hope is really just that people think about it, think about the topic, which is abortion. Like, we don't want to all talk about it, but just think about it from another perspective. That's my hope. And yeah, I also hope that people will laugh and enjoy it and have fun watching the short, and also enjoying the representation on screen. We had a lot of different people behind the scenes as well, women and people of color. But in front of the screen, we have a lot of Latinos, but they're different. So our main character, Isabella, is from the Dominican Republic. Marcos is from Arizona's Chicano, and Graciana, who plays our bruja, who's very frightening, does an amazing job. She's from Spain. So it's just a lot of different. What I enjoyed is like kind of putting these together and kind of culture mashing, because that's kind of like how I grew up. So I hope that people enjoy watching that. Like, that's a little bit different for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that as a audience member for your film, I felt that I was just like, yes, like this is a story that's much needed, a point of view that's much needed. And I also get excited when we can see like people that look like us on screen, and like that there's different witchcraft out there than like Harry Potter and all those things, you know, like more Brujas on screen. So I really loved it. And for me, I really just my biggest hope is to just have people laugh, and to just to maybe get some of the really small little horror jokes, right? If they're lovers of that genre, and to also like pick up on those little like nods to YouTube and content creators in that way, to like get a kick out of that and just like have fun with it. Yeah, I just want people to have fun.
That's all the questions that we have for this panel. Thank you, our lovely audience, for tuning in today. And make sure that you check out our other Q&A panels and our other film blocks that we're presenting this year at PHLAFF 2022. Thank you. Bye,
Wow,
everybody.
2022.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.